Breaking news here on HQ. When we last saw you, we told you that Cam Young made the Ryder Cup team. We now have all 6. Pick number 5, Patrick Cantlay. 5 top 10 finishes on tour this season and is actually coming in at 15th on those Ryder Cup rankings. So a little bit of a surprise potentially, but maybe even the bigger surprise is that the 6th and final selection by Captain Keegan Bradley is Sam Burns, making his 2nd Ryder Cup team appearance, and this year has 6 top 10 finishes on tour. And the addition of Sam Burns means that you will not see the captain Keegan Bradley playing as a playing captain. So this are the 12 that will make up Team USA for that Ryder Cup. The auto qualifiers led, of course, by Scotty Scheffler, major winner J.J. Spaun, and then on the right side of your screen, the names that we just learned, they were all selected by Keegan Bradley. Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Ben Griffin, Cameron Young, Patrick Cantlay, and Sam Burns. This is your Team USA Ryder Cup for next month from Bethpage. Mark Immelman here with us now. And Mark, there are so many ways that we can go with this, but I first want to start with the captain, Keegan Bradley, who did not pick and call his own name to join the Team USA Ryder Cup. He said the decision was actually made a while ago to not put himself on the team, and it has actually been 48 hours that he's known the 6 guys that he was going to put on his team. Said he's happy to have this all behind him and that the guys he chose played their way onto the team. Now that you know Bradley did not make it, how do you feel?
Well, Cullum is shocked, Zach. This is kind of how my emotions went throughout this year. Early in the year, in my mind, Keegan was a lock. And then the game waned sort of late summer, and I'm like, oh, maybe not. Then here in the playoffs, man, he showed up at the Tour Championship and he contended. So I'm like, he's got to be in, right? But all the while, though, having known my brother and watched the journey he went through as President's Cup team captain for the international team, it is a full-time gig and it occupies all of your attention. And so being the captain of Team USA is a role that no one will take lightly, especially Keegan, because he bleeds red, white, and blue. And then I'll add this, maybe I'm trying to be a little philosophical here, but I've always believed that the eagle that chases 2 rabbits will eventually lose both. So you got to be single-minded and myopic about what you're doing, and it would have been a really hard job for Keegan to captain and play and devote adequate attention to both roles. So he's in a place now where he's committed to what he's doing. I think it's obviously the smart decision. It's his decision, and I respect him for that.
Yeah, looking at Bradley's face when he was making that 6th and final selection and then answering questions, he looked relieved. Looked like he is tired of having to toil with figuring out who was going to make the team, who was not going to make it. But from a golf perspective, though, while we are going to respect the decision, do you think this is the right decision to give the U.S. the best chance to win?
From a competitive standpoint, every single one of these guys, even the captains and the vice captains, they want it on their golf clubs. They want their hands on the grip of the club when it comes right down to it. And I look at Keegan and the images there and what he represents for power and passion and just game. He was the guy that made the winning putt in Montreal for Team USA against the internationals. So he oozes passion. So personally, I would have loved to have seen him play, but again, as an announcer, as a pundit in the game, as a former player, as an instructor, I respect his decision, and I feel like he's going to do the role of captain and the motivator in the locker room and the inspiring voice to all the players and the leader of the team. I feel like he's all in now, and when you get Keegan all in, you get a pretty handy weapon.
You think there's any chance that some of the co-captains might have tried to convince Keegan, say, hey, it's okay, you can play. We can take some of the load off of your shoulders to help you out, and we want to see you out there? Or Keegan says, no, I'm not going to do it, and they rock with that?
Oh, yeah, there was. He brought on Gary Woodland, remember, as another co-captain as well. So I'm sure there was a lot of backroom chatter and such, and contingency plans I know were made for in case he did play. But in the end, here's the decision. He says he feels at peace about it. So I'm sure the entire Brains Trust of Team United States feel good about it too. And now it's time to get these 12 guys together, to get them singing off the same song sheet, to start to figure out who the groupings are, so you can send out your best team for the Ryder Cup and hopefully bring that cup back on U.S. soil.
Yeah, U.S. soil. We'll see Cameron Young make the team for Ryder Cup, and he was the first name, the fourth revealed, but the first that went away from chalk in terms of those Team USA Ryder Cup rankings. What does Cameron Young bring to this team that warrants him making it?
I feel like he forced Keegan Bradley's hand with the way he has been playing, and in terms of form on the U.S. team, Scotty Scheffler aside and maybe Russell Henley aside, Cameron Young is the guy that's playing the best. He had the victory. Keegan recognized that, and then just his skill set. Remember, he's a New Yorker, so he'll have all sorts of fans around the place, but he's powerful off the tee. He's softly spoken. He's easy to group with players. So I feel the skill set and the mindset and the manner and the New York heritage really make him a worthwhile selection to this team.
So then we look over to Patrick Cantlay, 15th on those Ryder Cup rankings, but he still makes a team regardless of that. In your eyes, is it the way that he played as well of late that earns him the spot, or what does it?
There's some of that, but Patrick Cantlay has got ice in the veins. And we saw this at former Ryder Cups, previous Ryder Cups. In Rome, he was the strong man. He stood up against the European team and all the Euros, and there was Hatgate, remember that Capgate going on, and he was a strong man. So you almost have to have him on the team because he's just so tough. And then, as I mentioned earlier, before we went to break, he and Xander Schauffele are some sort of combination. And I feel like you're going to see a lot of action out the two of them.
So now Keegan Bradley, as you alluded to earlier, gets to have a one-track mind and focus on just being the captain and putting Team USA in the best position to be able to win. That includes kind of the layout and working with how Bethpage looks next month. Give us the inner workings of maybe the thought process of how you organize things from a course standpoint to give you the best opportunity to win.
Well, quickly, just to add to that in the setup, it's going to be long. The fairways are going to be a little more generous. Greens are going to be sloping and fast to play into the hands of a selection like a Sam Burns, who is long off the tee, who's got great feel around the greens. Cameron Young's long off the tee. Ben Griffin is long off the tee. JT is long. There's Bryson DeChambeau. There's Xander. There's all these guys that are powerful off the tee. So I feel like the course setup is going to be a little more generous, give them room to drive the ball. I feel like the intermediate cut of rough and then the primary rough will probably not be too punitive to allow them to play from the rough a little bit. And then, of course, green speeds. If you go to Europe, you'll see narrow fairways, heavy rough, because they play an accurate sort of a game. The greens are ordinarily a little slower over there. So you're going to see the exact opposite. Give these bombers place to hit the thing and then have a short club to some firm and really sloping fast greens.
Yeah, Keegan Bradley trying to do just whatever is necessary to set up Team USA to have the best opportunity to win the Ryder Cup. And if you're just joining us right here on HQ, we are talking about the final 6 members of Team USA to make it, selected by Captain Keegan Bradley. Most notably, Bradley not calling his own name to make the team. Here's Bradley moments ago talking about the moment of why he didn't pick himself.
The decision was made a while ago that I wasn't playing. The last 48 hours, we had the team set. We weren't scrambling at all. This was a really tough decision. I would say there was a point this year where I was playing a while ago, and you know, all these guys stepped up in a major way and played their way. And that's something that I'm really proud of and something that I really wanted. But it was an extremely difficult decision. And, you know, but one that I'm really happy with. I'm really happy with these 6 players, and I'm glad it's over.
So, Mark, before we move on and talk about more of the inner workings of the Ryder Cup, now that we just got to see and hear from Keegan himself, what feelings does that bring about for you, hearing him say that?
I'm happy for Keegan because the role is just loaded with pressure and expectation and all these emotions. Because, look, all these guys are human, just like you and me and everyone watching this. So he went through the ringer. I said to multiple people over the last few months, I was like, there's one person in the world I don't want to be right now, and that's Keegan Bradley. Because the thing about captain selections is they can be boom or bust. And the reality is you either right or you're wrong, and it's a job you won't really win at, because if the selections play well, they were supposed to, right? Because they were your picks. And then if they play badly, then you become the notice board material and the locker room speak from everyone, where they start going after you. So I can sense the relief in Keegan. I see the sparkle in the eye. It seems like he's like, that stuff's behind me right now, and now we can focus on the job at hand. We're 30 days from the first tee shot. Let's get going, Team USA, because now I'm in a good space.
Yeah, part of that job includes determining the pairings, how you want to have everyone put out there. You look at foursomes for the first 2 days. In your mind, and you look now at this 12, what is the best way to pair it? Why do you like these pairings right here?
Well, I was, Scotty Scheffler and Sam Burns had almost been an automatic because of the friendship. But here of late, and especially at the President's Cup in Montreal, Scotty found a new guy in Russell Henley. And Russell is reliable. He plays from the fairway. He's a dog, man, because he's tough. Now, he's not as long as Sam Burns, but he's the kind of guy that shows up for the big moment. So I'm expecting you going to see Russell and Scotty play. Now with the addition of Sam Burns, maybe you see Sam and Scotty in 4 balls. I'm convinced that Scotty plays every single one of the sessions, and you see Sam and Russ kind of alternating in and out. And then I mentioned Xander and Cantlay. Gosh, my daughter could have made this pick, because if you look at their record and the way they pair off, they're best buddies. The games complement each other. They hit similar clubs into greens. It's like it's a match made in heaven, really. So those are two sort of that jump out at me. And then I'm keen also to see who pairs off with Bryson DeChambeau, because he's electric and he's vibrant. And whereas I was looking for a consistent, sort of easygoing guy to temper the DeChambeau energy, like a Harris English or maybe a Colin Morikawa, who has played with Bryson in the Ryder Cup at Whistling Straits, I'm like, gosh, man, just let's put Bryson and JT out together first game out on Friday morning and let them whip up the crowds into a frenzy, because they're the same guys, right? So it's going to be exciting, and I look forward to seeing who Keegan eventually pairs off with each other.
Yeah, getting after it immediately to get the people excited. And now some potential pairings that could maybe get the people going, and ways that it could play out for potential pairings. How do you feel about what you see right here? You mentioned Bryson DeChambeau, but J.J. Spaun with DeChambeau, potentially pairing them, Harris English and Russell Henley, or Morikawa and DeChambeau. What do you like here on this screen?
Well, if you look at the guys I've paired with Bryson, because Bryson has said he wants to be the lightning rod. And if he says so, you can pretty well book it. And I feel like he's going to play a lot because of the reach he's got to the fans. And if there's anyone who's going to engage the 13th man, those crowds there in New York, it's going to be DeChambeau. So I'm looking for a guy cut from the same cloth as a Harris English, kind of like a J.J. Spaun, kind of like a Colin Morikawa. Someone reliable who you can count on, who's sort of going to be the rudder of the ship that is going to be wanting to look for all the excitement they could. And then I just considered Harris English and Russell Henley, because they're both from UGA. They're the same sorts of guys. They're awfully reliable. They, if it wasn't for Cantlay and for Morikawa, would be a sensational anchor match in any of the games that you can count on these two guys, because they're going to show up, they're up for it, they're tough match players, and they're just very rounded, and they'll pair off well. So that's how I sort of saw those groupings going there.
Mark, a whole lot of ways that this could play out, and a lot of different pairings and options that we can get through. But at the end of the day, we know the 12 who make up Team USA. So now that we see it, now that we are aware and we're ready for next month, is Team USA a winning type of Ryder Cup team?
Oh, my goodness. If I knew the answer to this, I would be buying lottery tickets right now. Right now, looking at the European team, I would hand the Team Europe on paper the edge, just because of their force. And they're essentially the team that was in Rome that were dominant, showing up over here. And the only change is a first name in someone, where Rasmus Højgaard is moving in over Nikolai Højgaard. So I hand the edge on the form sheet to the Euros. But with this team, with Keegan Bradley, with the United States behind them in New York, that's going to be a tough out. So right now, I cannot pick them. I really can't.
Oh, boy. It will be fun regardless, Mark. I will let you live with that because, hey, time will tell come next month of how it all pays out at Bethpage.
Yeah, I took the middle road. Did you see me? I didn't go one way or the other.
I certainly saw it, but I'm going to let you live. I'm not going to press it too much because we'll have more time to have this conversation later on. He's Mark Immelman. Thank you very much. And this is your Team USA Ryder Cup team, official and in graphic form, announced by Keegan Bradley on the right side where those captains' picks just a few minutes ago, with JT, Colin Morikawa, Ben Griffin, Cameron Young, Patrick Cantlay, and Sam Burns, not the captain, Keegan Bradley, playing next month, September 26th. Bethpage Black is when the Ryder Cup begins.